Meet Kit, an American Girl by Valerie Tripp is a must-read for all American girls who live ordinary lives that are nothing short of an exciting adventure. Kit is a 9-year-old girl living during the Great Depression. The Great Depression lasted from 1929 to 1939 and had a widespread effect on America. It was the deepest and longest-lasting economic downturn in the history of the industrialized world. The Depression hit after the stock market crashed in 1929, which caused panic and confusion. Many people began to take their money from the bank because they no longer could trust the banks as a place of financial security. Soon after, people began to spend less money and no longer had investments. This caused declines in production from factories and other occupations that brought about a rise in unemployment. In 1932, the Depression reached its lowest point, leaving 25% of Americans without a job. As you can imagine, without jobs, Americans could not make money to afford daily living. Before long, breadlines and homeless people became more and more common. Some families began renting out rooms in their homes to the homeless, like Kittredge's family. This gave people without homes somewhere to stay and helped families with houses make money. Farmers also faced great trouble during the Depression. They had trouble selling their crops since so few people had money to afford them. Farmers could no longer afford to harvest their crops and had to let them rot while people were starving all over the United States. In the year 1933, President Franklin Roosevelt took office. He quickly began to make efforts to lift America out of the Depression by stabilizing the economy and providing jobs. Over the next 8 years, the government tried many different plans and programs known as the New Deal to bring America out of the Depression. The New Deal faced one setback after another and never seemed to solve the problem America was facing. On December 7, 1941, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and the United States entered World War II. The war stimulated the American economy by providing jobs and effectively ended the Great Depression. It is hard to imagine what the Depression was really like. To gain a better understanding of life during the Depression, check out Meet Kit, an American Girl by Valerie Tripp. The name's Kit Kittredge. I'm a 9-year-old girl who is living an ordinary life during the Great Depression. The year is 1934 and life is nothing short of exciting and uncertain. You see, a few years ago, about 5 to be exact, many Americans in my hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio, and around the nation began to struggle with finances. My dad says something called the economy crashed, and many people began to lose money. Today, they are continuing to struggle as they lose jobs, fight to find a new one, and strategize ways to provide for their families. I am an ordinary girl who loves to write news stories. Click, clack, clickety-clack. There is something about the sound of a typewriter that I love. My best friend Ruthie and I enjoy writing news stories about our very exciting lives. There is nothing like snooping around the house to collect snippets of information to make our stories a little bit more dramatic. However, lately all my parents have been talking about around the house has been the Depression, and that does not make for a very fun news story. The other day at Garden Club, I overheard my mom and the other ladies talking about Mr. and Mrs. Howard moving to Chicago in hopes that Mr. Howard could find a new job. I knew many people were losing jobs all over the country, but until then, I hadn't known anyone who had been affected. That is until my brother told me about my dad. I thought it was strange that Mom had asked Mrs. Howard and her son Sterling to move into our house a few weeks ago. Mom has been mighty stressed lately and has taken things out on me. Yesterday, my brother sat me down and told me my dad has had to close down the car dealership to go out of business because he could not afford to keep it going. Mrs. Howard has been paying my parents' rent to live in our house with us and help us provide a little bit more money for our family. I can't wait to get some good news to write about all again soon. All I can think about right now is what will happen next to my family. Will we have to move to Chicago like Mr. Howard? Will we have food to eat tomorrow? Do you want to experience the journey with me? You'll have to read my book to find out what happens next.